people aren't overtly stressed, but they are grossly under-recovered. So gross under-recovery is the modern day stress. That idea that, is stress equivocal across the ages? Well, stress in terms of threat to life might have been greater in previous years. So you can gauge how stressed someone's biology is through heart rate variability. So it's an analytic metric that allows you to look at someone's autonomic nervous system. So I control my motor nervous system, but I don't actively control my autonomic. So I don't control what my heart rate's doing, what my blood pressure's doing, my temperature, my digestion. So that's under the regulation of autonomic, which again, I'm going to oversimplify, has got a branch that accelerates my biology and prepares for stress. I've got a branch that decelerates my physiology and prepares for rest and recuperation. So we've got a fight and flight nervous system, and we've got a rest and digest nervous system. And which nervous system runs the inside of my body will be determined by how I'm viewing the world. I say this because back from the 70s, we were able to quantify whether I are being predominantly sympathetically driven or parasympathetically driven, i.e., am I stressed or am I recovering? When I first started measuring stress in senior executives, I thought I would find heightened sympathetic drive. I thought I'd find people in a perpetual state of fight or flight. And then you look at their life and they go, well, they're busy all the time, but they're not necessarily having that experience where they're being chased by a bear, the primal description we get. And actually, their families, their kids are at private school, they live in a very nice house. They don't have the same stressor as someone fighting to survive. But when you look at their heart rate variability, what you see is an inadequate volume of parasympathetic tone. So coming to your point, is modern day stress the same in volume compared to previous days? It's changed dramatically. And I would say the physiological pattern that I'm consistent with is people aren't overtly stressed, but they are grossly under-recovered. So gross under-recovery is the modern day stress. Why? Because being away from stress does not mean recovery. What drives parasympathetic tone? Well, when I go for a massage and I isolate one sense, that does it. When I breathe slowly, that does it. When I face extremely cold water, that does it. There's a range of things. Watching Netflix doesn't do it. Watching social media doesn't do it. Blue light and its disruption on circadian rhythm further confuses this, albeit in a slightly transactional fashion. So we've got, a modern society that is telling you are never allowed to disengage. And in doing so, we see an inadequacy of parasympathetic tone. Now that's the rest and digest nervous system. When we see IBS numbers up here, we see constipation and laxative use as one of the biggest spends through the NHS. We see people unable to fall asleep, but citing that as a sleep issue, not an absence of recovery issue. If in parasympathetic tone, we modulate our immune system. That's when our body repairs and rebuilds. The absence of parasympathetic tone could translate to almost every health condition that's growing in the Western world. So, it's fair to say most people don't sort of walk around with the fight or flight response in hyperdrive, but they walk around with the rest and digest system utterly neglected. And the physiological consequence of that is actually exactly the same.